I thought.
Yes.
Okay, Roll Freeze.
Here.
Joe Michaels. Keith Johnson.
Here.
Gary Guglielmetti.
Here.
Mark Lodi.
Here.
We should get on the agenda to approve the minutes from last meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting.
I second it.
Second that.
Gary, did you? Gary seconded. All in favor? The roll call. Aye.
At least the minutes.
No, if you're all in favor, you don't have to do roll call. You need roll call for the minutes.
Okay. Wonderful. Except for the year minutes. I had mine in a minute ago.
Okay, you want to start with this or? That's who
We still have a cask of
Yeah,
Malice still.
that's on the agenda, yeah?
Mhm.
Let's go to the public hearing, so open.
You ready?
Yep.
I need Taylor.
The Ulster Planning Board's recommendation reminded us that to meet the criteria for use variance, the applicant must prove each and every one of the 4 criteria. If any one of the 4 factors is not proven, state law requires the ZBA must deny the variance. By law, the railroad must prove with actual dollars and cents proof that each and every allowed use cannot earn a reasonable return. The affected property is unique, that the hardship is not self-created. Buying residential property to change it to industrial is self-created. When Shandaken zoning laws were put into effect in 1976, the railroad's parcels were zoned residential. They were when the railroad bought them, respectively in 1990 and 2001, and they're zoned residential today. Our lawyer brought to our attention that one cannot buy residential property and try to turn it into industrial use. The town lawyer also stressed that in his letter. The railroad's response to this test says, as our current lease with Ulster County for use of the railroad is about to expire, and as there is no certainty we will be granted an extension, a hardship exists in where to store and maintain our equipment and trains. Ulster County has instructed us to remove all of our equipment and vacate the railroad right of way by May 31st. A need to store equipment does not fulfill the legal definition of hardship. In March, I submitted their website's long list of equipment, almost 50 large engines, repair vehicles, railroad cars, many needing repair. Their request did not limit the equipment to their own. Despite their claim that only a few cars would be brought up, their application in response to use variance tests, they request open-ended storage. The railroad must prove that the variance will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood. Concerned neighbors have written over 40 letters distressed about how this would alter neighborhood character, about a railroad graveyard, decrepit trades, toxic substances, industrial restoration so near the Esopus, the impact on the nature of our hamlet and the water supply. Residents of High Street have spoken here.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. Residents of High Street have spoken here, troubled about a railroad yard across the street. They bought homes in a quiet residential neighborhood. An industrial use variance would hurt property values and threaten their lifelong investment. It has been difficult to come out each month, send letters, bring in our lawyer after each postponement. To date, the railroad has not proven any of the 4 necessary criteria. We look to the Shandaken Zoning Board of Appeals to protect us. We ask you for a timely decision. Our health, homes, and well-being are in your hands. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alan said to put his name on the list, and I don't think he's here yet, but he wants to speak.
Okay, well, Mr. Bonifacio,
May I just ask before I speak, has the railroad submitted any additional documentation since the last meeting?
no.
Do you intend to, Hunter?
Still working on it.
Still working on it?
If he's still working on it, there's not too much more for me to say at this point, but I'm always going to take the opportunity because I can't help myself. There has been a few developments. One of the things I wanted to do is respond to the Ulster County Planning Board's required modifications. It's been put forth that a simple majority is all that's necessary. It is majority plus one. I've got the site for the Ulster County Planning Board. You probably don't need it. On their site, it explains what a required modification is and what is necessary in order to find contrary to that modification. So it is majority plus one, and the case law holds that where there are 4 left, it is a majority of the entire board. And that being the case, majority plus 1 of the entire board. And as I've indicated before, that does require unanimity on this application. I'm going to hand up, so that it's in the record, the deeds. I don't know if it's part of it or not. The 2 deeds that the Catskill Mountain Railroad has to the property. One's 1990, one's 2001. The zoning book I've got says that zoning was adopted in April of '89. The maps that go with the zoning prior to the time that the Catskill Mountain Railroad bought their properties show this as still Hamlet residential. That means they bought after the zoning was in place. That means that this is, as defined by the Court of Appeals, a self-created hardship, and as you've been told over and over again, that is a disqualification. On the law, they are not entitled to this use variance. It's as simple as that. It is really open and shut. Your attorney has also indicated that they are not exempt from town zoning. Your attorney has also indicated that the planning board is against them. It is a self-created hardship, and they don't have the dollars and cents proof. This just gets weaker and weaker as time goes on. And although Mr. Jameson has indicated he's still working on it, it would seem that this application has been pending for quite some time, and it would have been incumbent upon the applicant to bring forth the proof without having to be reminded of what they should have brought with them. It seems to me appropriate for this board to rule on the evidence now before it. Thank you.
I don't know, Alan's still not here. That's it then. It's just those 3.
Good evening, ZBA members. Ulster County and the Catskill
Catskill Mountain Railroad has recently settled a litigation, and within that settlement, Catskill Mountain Railroad has until July 30 to remove all of its equipment from the county right of way. So that's been an extension. The other thing that's happened most recently is that Ulster County has extended the RFP process, the request for proposals. So the Catskill Mountain Railroad will be submitting a bid to potentially get a lease with Ulster County, but at this point, we don't know if we're going to be a tenant or not. So I would respectfully request of the board an extension for another month to see if, in fact, we will be once again occupying the county property.
Meaning you wouldn't have to move the equipment up to Shandaken.
Correct.
But what if you don't get that extension? How does we extending our deadline affect any information that's coming to us that would affect our decision?
Well, I said I was still working on it.
Working on what?
I'm working on substantiating the criteria for the variance.
If the lease isn't renewed, you wouldn't need the building anyway, is that correct?
Correct.
Do you see that as a real possibility? The lease may be renewed.
I don't know how many bidders there are, but we are submitting.
Okay. I don't have a problem waiting either. I'm having a hard time understanding what new evidence you would be presenting that would abrogate anything that.
Well, the thing being, if within that length of time, they would theoretically would know, is that correct, whether the lease is going to be extended or not?
Correct.
And then that, because if the lease isn't extended, he doesn't need the building.
Right.
But even if he does need the building, how does that change our calculus of all the information we just received?
Well, it would be a justification, and get his paperwork together,
Okay.
money-wise.
So the information that we requested last meeting was for dollar and cents figures for every allowable use in those zones in which you are located. Have you been able to produce any of that?
Working on it.
You working on it?
Yeah.
I'm perfectly happy to give the applicant more time to do whatever he needs to do. I'm having a hard time understanding what that would be that would change our calculus here on this board. So if you guys want to give him another month and put these other people in limbo,
When Mr. Jameson finishes, may I speak?
Excuse me, I didn't hear what you said.
When Mr. Jameson finishes, may I speak? He spoke without putting his name on the list. I was hoping I might be able to do
That would
this.
be the applicant.
Applicant doesn't need to.
yeah, we're fine with that. Did you have anything else to say?
Nope.
So let's-
Thank you. Last month, at the time that you gave an extension to the applicant in order for him to bring forward additional information, there were two issues that had been raised in relationship to the town attorney's lawyer, his letter. The one issue was the dollars and cents proof, which was needed at a much higher level, as you've been describing. The other was the question about the maps, which actually is the applicant's burden of proof. If he has any complaint about the zoning of those two parcels, he's never raised that. The parcels were listed on his application as being Hamlet Residential and R3, I believe. So the question about the maps, the zoning enforcement officer did not feel at that time that he could say with certainty that the zoning had existed that way from the time that zoning has been here at the time of the purchase of the parcels. And so it made sense to address both those issues. But we have addressed here tonight that the zoning was in place at the time of the purchase of the parcels. And that being the case, there's a self-created hardship. That means that Mr. Jameson could spend whatever money he wants, or the Catskill Mountain Railroad could spend whatever the money they want, and bring in proof that they can't receive a return on their property. But it still would not change it because they have to have all four. So it's actually not doing a service to anybody to continue to act as though he can meet all four, because we know he can't. In fact, he hasn't met any of them. And he can't meet this, that he can't get rid of the fact that he because the CMRI created this hardship. So I think that we need to pull the Band-Aid off completely and not keep taking it off slowly. There's nothing in the record that indicates he can meet any of the other three criteria, even if he can meet the fourth one. Thank you.
May I have some clarification from Mr. Fudafras? You said that this area was zoned in 1984?
89.
89? That was the first application of the zoning law in this area?
There might have been one before. The zoning book that I've got was dated April the 12th of 1989.
Well, that's the date on your zoning book. Does that mean that was the date that those zoning laws were first enacted?
What it means is that the Catskill Mountain Railroad bought their property after that zoning law was in effect, thereby creating a self-imposed hardship.
We also have maps with us on the computer that start from before the 76 maps were put in, so 74 and 90 and going up to the present. And we have close-ups that show his properties were residential. Always, and
There hasn't changed.
it hasn't changed.
Understood.
Regional zoning, that was a agreement you brought up, that was in the late 70s, early 80s.
Started in 73. It took 3 years to compile. They were adopted around May 12th of 1976.
Okay. And this is the first application of zoning laws in Shandaken?
It was the first filing of a map, was in 76.
First adoption of our zoning codes, which have since been modified numerous times. The original goes back to 1976.
Okay. What were people doing before 1976? There was no zoning code?
No.
Anything they wanted.
They're still
It's like
up in Vermont. There's no building codes.
In Hunter, there's no zoning. There's no zoning in Hunter. Really?
Yeah.
You do whatever you want.
Well, more civilized than I thought.
Depends on how you look at it.
Well, there's a township just outside of Oneonta that has no zoning. I'm surprised. You know, on 23 to 1.
Did you guys find a railroad yard that has no zoning? I'd love to really.
I'd just like to say that I mean, I understand that you want to give the applicant every opportunity in the world, but really, even were he to get an extension from the county, even if his bid were the only one, so what? The law is really clear on this, gentlemen, and I don't know how you could possibly continue this application. There's over and over again, he's been reminded of what he needs. Working on it is really insufficient, is the kindest way I can put it. I don't understand why there would be any reason at all, given the level of proof submitted, given the county's recommendation, given your attorney's recommendation. You don't even have to listen to me. It's just as clear as it can be.
I agree with counsel, but if Mr. Jamison feels that he has more evidence to permit, I guess I'm willing to keep this open for another month. Could we issue a ultimatum that it's...
That's it.
If you're going to do that, could you require the applicant to submit whatever is going to be submitted like a week before the meeting, so that whatever is submitted can be reviewed by the neighbors and a determination made at the next meeting? So if you let him submit on the day of the meeting, then he can always...
We'll have another postponement.
We'll have another postponement.
And that's a hardship.
Can you comply with that?
Let's finish the process here. Dear Shandaken Planning and Zoning Board members, thank you for your consideration and review of the Catskill Mountain Road site plan, the railroad yard and shop on our properties located on Station Road, Kenosha, New York. Based on our future being uncertain, the Catskill Mountain Road has decided at this time to rescind the application in total. At some point, we look forward to pursuing it again before you vote.
Thank you. So that's your official last word?
Yes.
I think that's the
I'm
smartest
just
course.
playing the same game. You understand?
Just understand.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
We'll accept these.
Not with a bang, but a whip.
Who seconded it?
Well,
Gary.
maybe more one.
And Gary second.
Okay. Johnson,
Now what are you gonna do?
Ralph Reese,
Yes.
Mark Lodi. Oh, sorry, Board Member Lodi. Board Member Guglielmetti.
Guys,
Roll call to accept the motion to close the public hearing.
Maybe me. I wouldn't admit that if I were you.
do we accept their,
Conclude the public hearing.
Yeah, I would say
their resignation?
well,
Or would it
they're going to
be?
vacate their, application for the variances. And you're going to accept the fact that they have, and then you'll take a roll call on that, set it in there, and close the whole thing out. Be done. That's my recommendation. I encourage.
I'll make a motion that we accept the withdrawal request from the Catskill Mountain Railroad in regards to their application for use and area variances. Sorry.
Okay.
Second that.
Okay. Keith Johnson, Board Member Johnson,
Yes.
Board Member Reese,
Yes.
Board Member Lodi,
Yes.
and Board Member Guglielmetti.
Yes.
Want to use my first name?
I'm not supposed to. Motion for roll call in the beginning.
I'm just a comrade. Citizen.
Do we feel that?
Okay. That's a lot of paperwork we can dismiss. File.
Yeah, get the best solution.
Okay, so the next meeting would be open to the public hearing.
Open another one.
Mr. Stapleton?
Back to the mic. Good evening.
Good evening.
You are there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And you have an application?
Did we open the hearing?
Did we?
We did?
Yeah, we have public hearing. We gotta go down.
No, I'm saying, did you make a motion? I didn't hear it.
It's a public hearing.
No, we're hearing from the applicant at the moment.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Go ahead, sorry. Okay, so you want to just give us a quick review of your intentions here again?
Oh, the intentions are I'd like to take and replace the trail that I had there. It's 40 years old and it's cost me more to heat and maintain. I'm trying to replace it for a better life for my family. Right now it's got other, I don't know,
It's just a bigger trailer?
Yeah. How much
It's-
larger
well,
is it?
Right now, it's going to be actually almost in the same footprint that is in now, except for it's going to be 12 feet shorter and 4 feet wide.
Okay, so you're adding 4 feet to your dimension one way and 12 feet, you're subtracting 12 feet.
That's correct.
Okay.
It's a 2% increase in the total area.
We have a,
Did you just do that in your head?
we have a,
No, he wrote it down from last week. When I told him last time.
Okay.
we have a letter here, yeah. They're concerned about it being too close to the property line. Is there any way you can keep it in the same footprint so that?
If I keep it in the same footprint, it's in the same exact spot that it is, which is going to be that I drew on the map as the property line. So it wouldn't be any closer to their property or it wouldn't be any further away. It'd be in the same footprint that it's in.
They gave us
this letter, she's going to public it.
Wait, we still didn't open the
I know,
hearing.
I know. Okay. I'll make a motion to open the public hearing for this application.
What we did?
No, we haven't, no, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, seconded by,
Seconded by board member Lloyd.
okay, now I need a roll call for this. Oh, what? Board member Johnson?
You good?
Board member Reese?
Yes.
Board member Lodi? Board
Yes.
member Mohamedi?
Yes.
Okay, now you can carry on.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Sue Asher Schofield, and I live below Derrick. And my property adjoined, you'll see the map I gave.
No, I don't have the map.
This letter is from my neighbor who cannot be here today. It's from Harry and Carolyn Turner. And I'd like to read the letter if I may. My wife and I do not support the request by Derek and Mary Lou Stapleton to put a double-wide mobile home, which we were told that's what they wanted to do, on the foundation of the present mobile home. It is already within 8 feet of my property line and possibly even closer to Sue Asher Schofield's property line. She also agrees with us. The existing mobile home is a single-wide trailer. They never came to us nor contacted us to inform us of their intent or ask for our input concerning this matter. We have owned our home here in Beginning for 34 years and do not plan on leaving until age forces us to do so. We have always been friendly terms with people living on the adjoining properties throughout this time. We are unable to attend this meeting because we are out of state. We hope you will disapprove of this variance. That's from Harry and Carolyn Turner.
Is this a sentiment you share?